right, welcome everybody. My name is Sarah Lewis. I am the membership and program manager out of our Lexington office. My camera is not quite working today, but I am here in the Lexington office with one of our speakers, Pat Haight. We will be meeting Catherine here in just a moment as well, but I primarily just wanted to say welcome to everybody, and I am going to turn it over to Ambassador Girl Scout Mary Laura Hardesty, who is going to be moderating our Unstoppable Women interview today. So take it away, Mary Laura.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here today and to interview these two amazing women as we talk a little bit about the world of travel. So first, we have Miss Pat Haight. Miss Pat Haight received a bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering from the University of Kentucky and is a registered professional engineer in civil and sanitary engineering. While at UK, she was a member of Chi Epsilon, the civil engineering honorary, and Tau Beta Pi, the engineering honorary. She was named the Outstanding Woman Engineering Student at the University of Kentucky twice. She was a member of the women's basketball team and the Blue Marlins Synchronized Swimming Club. She is retired as an engineer for the Kentucky Department of Environmental Protection. She served as president of the Wilderness Road Girl Scout Council and continues to be the leader of a senior level troop. She has been awarded the Thanks Badge and the Thanks Badge II by the council, where she served on the property committee and as a trainer. She has served as a national operational volunteer for GSUSA and is a member of the Friends of Arquebana Girl Scout World Center in Mexico. She served as a member of the World Centers Committee of the World Board of the International Girl Scout Organization, WAGS, and was assigned to our Cabana in Mexico and our Chalet in Switzerland as the World Center team leader. She loves to sail, swim, bicycle, hike, and canoe. She was married to a civil engineer and comes from an engineering family. Her mother and father were both engineers, and she has 4 brothers who are mechanical engineers. Her sister, on the other hand, is an accountant. Pat has led a number of national and international trips for girls and adults, including destinations and World Center events. Wow, Pat, that is an amazing spread that you've done.
Thank you.
Okay, and Miss Catherine Prather. Catherine Prather, CTP, joined the National Tour Association team in 1994. She serves as a president for the Lexington, Kentucky-based organization with members in more than 40 countries. She guides the management team to strengthen engagement and business connections among the NTA community. Catherine serves on the U.S. Travel and Tourism Advisory Board, which is an advisory body to the Secretary of Commerce. Other leadership roles include the Tourism Cares Board of Directors, the Retailing and Tourism Management Advisory Board for the University of Kentucky, and the Kentucky Advisory Committee for the U.S. Global Leadership Coalition. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Mary Laura. Pat, I'm in awe of you. You are a rock star. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It's awesome to be here with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for both joining us today. It's obvious you both work a lot in international travel, right? And have seen some amazing places. So thank you so much for taking time to be here with us and talk about some of that today. So my first question for you today is, can you tell us a little bit about your careers? Pat, would you like to start?
Okay. As my bio said, my career was in engineering. I worked for the Department of Environmental Protection for Kentucky for my entire career and spent most of my time in waste management, hazardous waste, solid waste, those kinds of issues. And then spent the last 6 years in air quality, issuing air permits to big chemical companies.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's amazing. I knew, I personally am looking into going to environmental sciences, and I know that's one of the fields where engineering overlaps a lot. So yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. Thank you. And Catherine, would you tell us a little bit more about your career?
Yep, absolutely. So as an adult, I have only worked at 3 places. I started out as a journalist. Was the assistant editor for my hometown paper in Georgetown, and then went to the Lane Report, which is a business magazine here in Lexington, Kentucky, was the assistant editor for there. But I've been with the National Tour Association, where I currently am, an amazing place for a little more than 27 years. So just have been really, really fortunate. And, I think for me, it's like my work is really more of an avocation rather than a vocation. And I'm a nurturer, and I'm service oriented at heart. So association management, which is really what I do, is just a great fit for me. And then the fact that I'm in the travel industry, which is just the best place ever. I just have been really fortunate. The past 18 months have been so hard. And the challenges really continue, but you're just not going to find a better people anywhere than travel people.
Yeah, that's amazing. I completely agree. So, what is your favorite aspect of traveling and exploring new places? Do you like meeting new people, seeing new places, different places? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's a really tough question because I love everything about travel. I love the research and the planning because you get that psychological boost, just from the excitement and the anticipation. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going, such and such. I love photography. So I really enjoy, capturing beautiful scenery and candids of the people I'm traveling with. I'm probably better at scenery pictures than people pictures. And I love food. So to me, a new culinary experience is always at the top of the list, but for me, most of all, I love the intrinsic value of travel, which is opening my mind and broadening my horizon and connecting with other cultures, meeting new people, and just really learning that I have so many more similarities rather than differences. And that can really happen whether you just go to another state or you go around the world. It's the people are what make the travel.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's one of the biggest reasons I have always loved travel, is just seeing all the differences, but at the same time, how we are similar. Like the differences aren't that different.
Absolutely.
And Pat, would you like to tell us a little bit about your favorite thing about travel?
Okay. Most of my travel experience has been business related, or the time I spent as a committee member of the World Board. And so those were meetings and conferences and things like that. But it gave me an opportunity then to take a lot of side trips and explore those places. And I've just really enjoyed seeing cultures, learning new cultures, seeing how much different places are alike. You see a scene in India and it looks just like scenes that you've seen in Mexico. I love meeting people from all over the world. And I now have many friends spread across the world that I talk to and see all the time.
Oh, Marilyn, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that. But as we all know, there's many different types of travel. There's the carry-on only trips, the road trips, the solo trips. So what is your favorite type of trip to take?
Go ahead, Pat.
Okay, go ahead. I've done pretty much all of those. And to me, it kind of depends on what the purpose of the trip is. That kind of leads you to what kind of travel it needs to be. However, a carry-on only experience in Africa for 2 weeks with no luggage was not my favorite. So again, it to me, it very much depends on what the purpose of the trip is. And that if you're going to a meeting or doing a conference, that's the primary purpose. And that leads you to what kind of travel you're going to do. But I always take advantage of side trips and seeing other places and just really taking advantage of the trip.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I like to do that when I travel for conferences or for swim meets. We always try to do something a little bit fun because usually it's a city we don't see very often. Catherine, what about you?
Yeah, I want to echo what Pat said. I agree. It really depends on the purpose of the travel, and then even where you're going, because like she said, sometimes it's dictated if you're on a smaller plane. Or I went to Jordan and I did a carry-on, and we went to a Bedouin camp in the desert, And, it just kind of depends on where you're going. But I'm more likely going to prefer to jump on a plane, preferably with my carry-on, or maybe travel via motor coach rather than I'm going to do like a long car road trip. That's just me personally. But I think the great thing about travel is that there are so many different opportunities and places you can see that you can make it whatever you want.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so as we covered before, you are both very busy women, right? So what is one way you would typically practice self-care within your very busy lives?
Pat, why don't you take this one first?
All right, I'll do that. One of the things that I learned early on is that you really need to carefully investigate the conditions of the place that you're going, whether it's a country that's going to require different shots or different visas, or whether you're going to Branson, Missouri, where COVID is still raging. And so investigation is very important. Also getting ready, making sure you have everything you need. If you've got prescriptions and things, making sure that you've got those, and never forget your passport. I almost did that once. And be prepared. And my lost luggage adventure was with 12 of very good Girl Scout friends, and they took care of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I looked at this more from when I'm not traveling and maybe not working and trying to implement some self-care. And I really like to try and make time for the things that I love, which are it's cooking and being outside and tending to my yard and reading or snuggling with my cats. I think is a great way for self-care. Exercising to me is a must. Being physical, and that's definitely something that you can do with travel. In fact, I think travel helps you be physical. Also, I'm a massage gal, so I to me that's not a luxury, it's a must. That's a good self-care thing too. And then just allowing myself not to check everything off my to-do list, to give myself some grace to kind of let some things go. And that can be another thing to remember when you are traveling is sometimes you may want to slow down and not see everything that you had hoped just because you want to spend more time in a particular place, and just be flexible that way.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about leadership. So can you guys tell us what leadership means to you and what you consider your leadership styles to be? Catherine, would you like to go first?
Sure. So to me, leadership is its responsibility and it's effective communication, it's courage, humility, giving respect, but then also earning respect, and also tenacity. And when I look at my leadership style, it's not making someone do something that I'm not willing to do myself, and sometimes to a fault. But I have an open door, yet when people come to me and they have a challenge, I want them to come to me with insights on how to solve that problem or remove the obstacle. And I tell people, I don't like surprises. I always want someone to tell me about something before it becomes an issue. Mm-hmm. And then, I understand that we all make mistakes, and, I expect people to own their mistakes. And learn from them just as I'm going to.
Yeah, I love what you said about leadership is respecting others as much as they respect you.
Absolutely. And you have to earn that. You absolutely
have to. Yes, I love that. Pat, what is your leadership style?
Well, I hope my leadership style is empowering others to do their best. I think leadership means looking at each person that you're working with and determine what it takes for them to get the best out of what they do. And it's different for different people. What may work for one person may not completely at all work for someone else. And so it's understanding what people's needs are and being able to get them what they need and empower them to do their best.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Thank you. So what challenges, stereotypes, or barriers have you had to deal with during your careers? Pat, if you'd like to go first.
Okay, I can go first. Obviously, as a woman engineer starting out in my career in the 70s, there were a lot of barriers. When I went to UK, there were only 6 women in the whole engineering school at the time. There are a lot more now, thank goodness, but there were very, very few. And so I don't know whether that was always a barrier or not, but it sometimes it seemed like it was. And then as I worked and went from into management, there's always the guy gets the job first sometimes, and the women get overlooked, and I felt that at sometimes. But it all worked out, and I did fine.
Yeah. Catherine, can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, and first I want to say, Pat, I just think that's really, really awesome that you broke some ground there and stepped into a field that wasn't known for women. That's we all need those role models. So thank you. Really, I think I've been pretty fortunate. Just at one time, I did work for a man who wasn't respectful of women, not in a Me Too way, but he simply gave more credence to my male colleagues. And I made a choice not to be there for long because it wasn't a positive or supportive environment, and that can just be really toxic. But I personally have been really fortunate. I think it's because I'm in association management, which there are a lot of female leaders in this field, but then also travel, there are a lot of women as well. But to Pat's point, in many cases, it's still that the males are definitely chosen for those top roles. It's changing, and I think learning to be a leader through Girl Scouts and seeing those positive role models is going to really help us.
Yeah, definitely. So again, the next question is, what quality or qualities do you think make a great leader? Is there a particular leader you look up to, and why?
Well, as far as mentors go, my mother was an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a good role model to choose from. Although she didn't encourage me to go into engineering, that's where I ended up. I think a quality that a leader must have is ability to work with everybody that they're working with, whether it's subordinates or other volunteers in our organization. And I think they need to be able to define the goal and make sure that everybody understands the goal. And then beyond that, they need to empower everybody to do what they need to do to reach that goal.
Yeah, definitely. Being able to actually empower a group to reach a goal and not just drag them along is definitely a good quality.
I have something along the lines of that as well. To me, humility is such an important quality for a leader. Humbleness allows you to put the needs of your team, your company, or your organization's mission before your own. And I'm sorry, we've got a bunch of sirens going by me. I don't know if you all can hear that. But I think having humility, it enables you to see that your way is not the only way, and that you can be open to others' creativity. And that just allows them to grow. As Pat was saying, it empowers them. That's critical, because I like to hire people who have skills that I don't, or who may be better at something that I can't do. To me, that's just a really important part of creating a team that where everyone's invested. And in terms of people I look up to and leaders, I didn't have to think long about this one. To me, it's my parents. I have the most amazing parents. I've always looked up to them. I've had a lifetime of learning from them. So I'm going to say my parents.
Yeah, definitely. Parents are amazing role models. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about how it's important to have a mentor to be able to grow as a leader, and what some of the steps are to build that type of relationship?
Well, I feel like it's very important. I think if you don't have mentors that show you what the good qualities and what you recognize the good qualities of the leader is, that it makes it very difficult. I think you need to have somebody that models good leadership skills that you can then learn from. And that you need to recognize somebody that has those types of skills. And also important is that you ask for help. You know, you may have a mentor that is very good at things or very good at leadership, and they're more than willing to help you, but you have to ask.
Mary Laura, I think you're on mute again.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's definitely important. Having a mentor and communicating well with them. Yeah, no one in the world is a mind reader. So if you don't communicate the help you need, you're never going to get it. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on mentors, Catherine?
You know, this was interesting because I wouldn't say that I've had a mentor in a traditional sense, but throughout my career, I've had people who I've looked up to, and you know, I've admired and I've strived to emulate them. And these were people who they've nurtured me, and they've, you know, with positive reinforcement, constructive feedback, and, you know, frankly, an occasional kick in the butt when I needed it. But I think it's important for this relationship to be organic and not forced. And that's just me personally. But I know that there are a lot of really good structured mentor and mentee programs out there. But I think that you're going to connect with whom you connect, who you click with. And hopefully, you know, you've got a good enough foundation that you're going to gravitate toward people who are going to steer you in a positive direction.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so our next question is, what advice do you have those who are interested in traveling to a new place and culture? And do you think it's better to plan out all the details of your trip or leave everything open-ended?
Okay, I'll go. I look at it in two different ways. One is adult travel, where you're going to meetings or conferences, or you get a bunch of adults together who enjoy and like to travel together. Or for me, it's working with girls. And so in either type, it's important to me to have progression. If you're traveling with girls, they can't start in going to Costa Rica to do a service project. They have to start and learn the skills of putting together a trip from very early ages. So that progression needs to be used for all girls who have an opportunity for travel. For everybody, it's looking for those opportunities to travel and not sit back and say, well, I could schedule this or schedule that. But there's a lot of travel that goes on with friends. For me, with Girl Scout groups, and it's just in being able to investigate what is available and get in on. Just be brave enough to get in on trips like that. Once you get it, even if you don't know the people that are traveling, you will become good friends, and that will lead to additional travel opportunities.
Yeah.
Oh, I left out the details. Again, I think whether you plan or leave it open-ended kind of depends again on the purpose of the trip. Mm-hmm. If the trip is already fairly well planned and you're just joining a group that's going on a cruise, God forbid, or to a World Center or whatever, some of that planning is already done for you, and you don't have to do all the details But I've always, whenever I've gone someplace, try to leave enough of it open-ended. Take a few extra days or a week and find out what is available at that area, and then do that in addition to whatever the purpose of the trip was for.
Yeah. Catherine, do you have anything you'd like to share?
So, for me, it's definitely do your research, and I'm going to advise, work with a travel professional such as a tour operator, especially if you're going to a destination that you're not aware of. So, it's like whether you're going with one other person or your family, a group of friends, or 20 strangers, a tour operator is going to help you have the best experience, because they've got the partners that they're going to help you get the benefit of volume buying, and they're industry insiders. So they're going to get you access to hidden treasures or behind the scenes experiences that if you're going on your own, 9 times out of 10, you're just not going to have access to that. And then, really in today's COVID world and other challenges, they can get you out of a bind with their connections. And I think another piece of advice is just to remember too that we have a commitment to holistic sustainability, and by that I mean not only being respectful of the environment and doing no harm, but also being respectful of the people and the communities that we're visiting and supporting them. That's just, so critical, especially when you go to destinations that their livelihoods depend on travel and tourism. And then for me, in terms of, planning out all the details or leaving everything open-ended, I think that definitely is a personal preference, but for me, I can't not have worked at the National Tour Association for nearly 30 years without recognizing that it's better to plan or have a lot of it planned out. Definitely leave some room to plug in those unique experiences that you learn about when you get there. And even if you plan out everything, you got to remember to be flexible, because things are gonna happen.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So how do you balance your career, your personal life, and your passions? Catherine, would you like to go ahead?
Well, I probably don't get as much sleep as I should, because there is so much that I want to do and accomplish in each day. I know too that my days, they do tilt toward my work life, but the good thing is I truly love what I do most days.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, circling all the way back to your question about self-care and really trying to recognize when I'm tired or I need a break and I need some self-care. I need to leave something off that to-do list.
Yeah, definitely. Pat, what about you?
Well, it's a little easier for me because I'm retired, and so my career is not as big an issue. I do have a farm, and but it's not nearly as much work as I did while I was actually working. To me, it's identifying the important things. I do a lot of gardening, and I do a lot of grandkids, and so those are the important things to me. I use a calendar so that I make sure I keep up with my important appointments, but I have to prioritize, and sometimes that means if you're asked to do more than you're able to do, you just have to learn to say no, politely. But it's still, I still enjoy being involved in a lot of different kind of activities, even though I'm no longer working.
Yeah. Okay, so our last scripted question for today is, what do you believe will be the biggest challenge for the next generation of female leaders, and what advice would you give them? Pat,
Catherine,
would you like to start
first? Sure. I think what faces girls today, especially girls, but they face a global world, it's no longer things around them and their own community. The world is becoming ever more global. And I think to encourage them to be able to fit in and exceed in that world, they need to take advantage of every global opportunity they get, even if it's not travel, if it's global experiences at home, that if they're exposed to and get into those and understand differences in culture and how people operate, that they'll have a much easier time adapting to this ever-changing world.
Yeah. Catherine, what about you?
Yeah, what a great answer, Pat. I absolutely agree with that. I am a realistic optimist. So the pragmatic side of me feels that, unfortunately, they'll still be dealing with long-time challenges such as, equal pay and being taken seriously by male counterparts and having equal opportunity for top jobs. But the optimistic side of me sees so many new and different paths opening for women. So that's really promising. And then to Pat's point, making sure that you really do take advantage of everything you can do to learn about this global world that we live in, so that they can be ready to take advantage of those new opportunities.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the last scripted question I had for you today. The first question, we have one question in the chat right now, and it says, "You are both amazing leaders, and I love that you both have Girl Scouts in your lives. Do either of you have a favorite Girl Scout memory?"
Well, I'll take a shot at it. Very early, when I was a freshman in high school, I was chosen to go to the Girl Scout Roundup in Vermont. And we sent 8 girls from our council and traveled to Vermont. No adults. Parents and leaders sent us off to this huge event. And we, of course, had to train and work together so we could do all of the skills that we're required to do. So we spent 2 weeks in Vermont with 10,000 girls, all Girl Scouts, and many of them were from other places in the world. And that was to understand as a young woman how brave it was for them, one, to let us go, but then the experience that we gained in that just made travel and Girl Scouts something that I was going to do forever.
Yeah, that's amazing. That sounds like so much fun.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Troop 117 from Georgetown, Kentucky. That was my troop. Also, my sister Susan's troop was, I'm the oldest, but she was in that too. And our amazing troop leader was Kathy Grantham, and my mom was also very active with us. But I think one of the coolest things is there's a group of 6 of us. We are still close. We have a really active text thread. We call ourselves the Garth Girl Scouts. Although COVID has kept us apart, we've taken vacations together. We've had fun trips to Keeneland race course. We've had some memorable adult sleepovers, but, we've known each other for nearly 50 years. And so many fun memories at Camp Judy Lane and Camp Cardinal, just, really awesome experiences there. But I think one of our favorite stories that we've told is my dear friend Kirsten had, you make your little Bunsen burner, and she had just a perfect grilled cheese at the side of the creek, and she was ready to flip it one last time, and she flipped that perfect grilled cheese off into the creek, and we just kind of all watched it, go down the creek. So yeah, it was devastating, but that's a story we like to tell each other because we all remember it.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 2 more questions. Pat, these are specifically aimed at you. So what tips do you have for Girl Scouts going on destinations or for girls who want to apply?
One of the important things is to early on get the information about what destinations are available. Many of them, if you're chosen for them, are expensive, and it may take a while to get yourself ready for those. The other thing is that there is another thing that Girl Scouts USA offers is an opportunity called getaways. And getaways are something that girls go to as a troop. Many of them are much closer to us. They're shorter in period, and so they're less expensive, but nevertheless, they're great travel opportunities. You can go to Nantucket and stay in a life-saving station where they used to launch the boats to save the ships. And they're great ways to see the country, learn planning skills, and things like that. And so both of those are important opportunities, but you have to do the investigation and understand what's there. I think the second thing is to find a mentor, somebody that can help you explore that. It could be your mom, it could be your troop leader, to find out what there are and what all you need to do, because many of them are pretty complicated to get yourself ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and do you have any tips for troops that would like to visit a World Center?
Oh, absolutely. There are 5 World Centers. Unfortunately, right now, they're closed because of COVID. Many of the other countries where they're located, India, for instance, and England, are having much more trouble with COVID than we are now having. But it's important, again, to do the proper planning. And so if you want to go as a troop, there is an excellent reference in GSUSA called the Travel Toolkit. And it takes a group or an individual girl even through all of the steps it takes when you need to do what planning you need to do. And it emphasizes girl planning, which to me is one of the most important parts of Girl Scouts. You know, it's fine for a family to schedule a trip and you go along as a sightseer, but when you actually sit down and do all of the budget calculations and decisions on what to do and schedule and how to raise the money, you learn so much more than you would just going on a group that's already done all that planning, or one of the tour companies. And so the council has a group of volunteers who are called Global Volunteers, and they are trained to help troops do that planning. And so, you know, if you've got that desire, you can contact the council and they'll sign you up with somebody to help you get through that process.
That's really awesome. Thank you. Okay, and that looks like all the questions we have right now. So audience, last call for questions. But in the meantime, thank you both so much for coming. This was an amazing session. And I definitely hope more travel in the future.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Laura. This is Sarah again. We have loved having Pat and Catherine on the call today. It was amazing getting to hear about all of the different experiences that you all have had. And as the council contact for our travel programs, it's very encouraging to hear about the impact that those different Girl Scout experiences had on you and your lives. So thank you again, Mary Laura, for hosting and moderating for us today. And thank you again to Pat and Catherine for being on. And we hope that everybody has a great evening.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mary Laura.
Thank you.